Nothing is more groan-worthy than getting to the end of a really enjoyable game and coming head-to-head with a final boss who then goes down quicker than a Mario Kart on a banana peel. It's oh so painful. So today we're reliving the disappointment with our list of the top 10 final video game bosses that were ridiculously easy to beat. And most of the games on this list are critically acclaimed, and some are flat-out iconic, which perhaps makes these final boss battles even worse. Let's jump in. At number 10, Joker from ARKHAM Asylum. ARKHAM Asylum is a fantastic game. It spawned a franchise of Rocksteady Batman video games that were almost all critically acclaimed too. But the game has one major flaw that fans did not enjoy: the final boss battle with the Joker, where the penultimate villain jacks himself up on toxins. For starters, that kind of tactic is a bit out of character for the Clown Prince of Crime. Second, the battle felt a little forced. Jacked up Joker jumps up and sends his minions after you, then occasionally jumps down so you can dish out some damage to him. And it wasn't all that challenging. It didn't offer up anything new in the game either. Luckily, Rocksteady made up for it with Arkham City and the final boss battle there, but there's still a few gamers out there who are sore over Asylum. Moving on to number 9, Ganon from Ocarina of Time. Ganon is not a foe to be taken lightly as far as Legend of Zelda is concerned, unless you're playing Ocarina of Time, that is. Despite his terrifying aesthetic, the final battle against Ganon is actually fairly simple, once you get the swing of it, that is. It's repetitive, and as long as you make sure to roll between his legs and slash at his tail, as long as you keep the pace, the battle is incredibly straightforward and manageable. Not so threatening now, are you, Ganon? Ganon's lack of diversity in his attacks is what makes this possible, which is a bit of a shame considering the rest of the game is considered to be one of the best titles of all time, despite its severely aged graphics these days. And at number 8, NATLA from Tomb Raider. Jacqueline NATLA is similar to our last number in the sense that all you really have to do is repeat the same move over and over and you'll knock her out. It's a bit of a shame. For a character that means so much to Lara's story, she's defeated fairly simply. Essentially, all you have to do is non-stop fire your Uzis while doing somersaults as a means of dodging her attacks, which is pretty lame considering she transforms into a winged beast with fireball powers. You don't even really need to aim all that well either. It's also worth noting that her attacks are strong, but the pillars scattered around the area act as a significant amount of cover. And if you don't have any medipacks, you're sure to withstand her attacks anyway. Moving on to number 7, JACKNIFE from Mirror's Edge. The 2008 EA Dice Mirror's Edge game was arguably a really well done title, but its final confrontation with JACKNIFE, a former runner, is incredibly anticlimactic. All you have to do after he boards the helicopter is run towards it and jump, causing him to eventually fall to his death. While the gameplay immediately afterwards is tense, you need to help Kate safely escape the now falling helicopter, which apparently gets so severely damaged from your jump and JACKNIFE's firing that it starts going down. It still feels like quite a letdown regardless. Up next, number 6, Sadler from Resident Evil 4. Sadler gets a lot of hype in Resident Evil 4, but when it finally comes down to facing him, it's not all that difficult to get the upper hand on the terribly deformed monstrosity. Once you determine where his weak spots are, it doesn't take long to fire away and deal some serious damage to him. The area in which you fight him gives you a lot of advantages too. There's a lot of traps and spots that you can sneak into when you're trying to avoid him. Plus, after you've gotten his health down significantly, Ada just shows up and then gives you a one-hit kill rocket launcher, which kinda makes the whole battle redundant to begin with. And at number 5, the Black Hand from Shadow of Mordor. The Black Hand of Sauron final boss battle is essentially a game of cat and mouse, which is then followed by a quick time event. While it may do the narrative justice, in terms of actual skill, it didn't really challenge players all that much, despite the talents of the Black Hand you fight off prior being much more interesting. There is a timer though, so for some that may add some level of intrigue, but still, it's pretty lackluster. And at number 4, LAMBENT BRUMAK from Gears of War 2. For something so terrifying to look at, the final boss in this game is just a piece of cake. Just hold down the trigger for the Hammer of Dawn to fire. Keep that up and then it will eventually die, which is pretty funny considering everything else leading up to this final boss in the game is hard as balls. Moving on. And at number 3, FONTAINE from BIOSHOck. FONTAINE is quite the physically imposing boss, but unfortunately was more of a letdown than a challenge. Despite BioShock being a wonderfully crafted game, players quickly found out that there was an easy tactic that you could use to finish this baddie in no time. You can blast Fontaine with the chemical thrower weapon, with the electric gel leaving the boss pretty much paralyzed. From there, you just shoot, without having to fear for any real repercussions. Plus, if your weapons were upgraded fully by the end of the game, the damage you deal is pretty superior, meaning the battle will be over in next to no time. Up next, number 2, 343 Guilty Spark from Halo. Aside from typically being considered one of the most annoying video game characters in history, Guilty Spark is also a pretty crappy boss. It's incredibly easy to take out. Its own attacks towards you are really predictable and easy to dodge. And despite being able to fly around a lot, it lingers a bunch. And it doesn't even bother to use its small size to its advantage. It feels as if it was just an afterthought to the game, a boss battle slapped onto the ending of a story otherwise jam-packed with other memorable and compelling moments. And last but not least, in at number 1, Lucian from Fable 2. Nothing is more anticlimactic than not getting to brutally destroy a villain that has driven you absolutely mental the entire game. Fable 2 features one of those moments. The final encounter with Lucian, a character who has antagonized you right from the start of the game, is nowhere near the kind of justice that players wanted. I mean, dude kills your sister at the start of the story, and all you get is a hop and a skip and a short cutscene. While there is some satisfaction in shooting him after his shield was down, if you listened to his last words instead and waited too long, someone else would just shoot him for you, which kind of even sucked more. Alright, there we have it, friends. Are there other bosses we should have mentioned on our list? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know. If you dug this video, hit that like button. And for more gaming lists, news, highlights, and updates, be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming. We also have a playlist currently flashing on your screen filled with a ton of gaming videos just waiting for you to watch them. Give it a click. In the meantime, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.